5:30, and we can call to order the June 12th, 2025 regular school board meeting for Shenandoah County School Board. We will take a recommendation for convening in closed session. Dr. Shepherd.
Thank you. I recommend the Shenandoah County School Board convene a closed meeting under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act in order to discuss and consider several personnel matters involving the assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salary, discipline, or resignation under Virginia Code 2.2-3711A14, and to have a briefing by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect negotiating or litigating posture of Shenandoah County Public Schools under Virginia Code 2.2-3711A7 and pursuant to the provisions of Virginia Code 2.2-3711A29 to discuss the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, including interviews of bidders or offerers and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I move that the Shenandoah County School Board convene a closed meeting under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act in order to discuss and consider several personnel matters involving the assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salary, discipline, or resignation under Virginia Code 2.2-3711A14, and to have a briefing by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation, where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of Shenandoah County Public Schools under Virginia Code 2.2-3711A7, and pursuant to the provisions of 1 Virginia Code 2.2-3711A29 to discuss the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, including interviews of bidders or offerers, and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body.
Thank you, Mr. Cottrell. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Mr. Ricker, thank you for the second. All in favor of convening closed session, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We will reconvene in closed session. We're ready for the invocation and pledge, and Mr. Rickard, you're the Bubba.
If everybody could please bow their heads with me. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for all of us that are gathered here tonight. Lord, I ask that you open our ears that we may hear your counsel during our time together. Lord, I ask that you guide and direct us as we make decisions regarding our public school system. Lord, I ask that you continue to bless our school system. Lord, I thank you for this beautiful day that we've had. I thank you for our time together, Lord. In your heavenly, precious name, I ask these things. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as it has been presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Gutschall, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rickard. All in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? And that brings us to recognitions. Dr. Shepherd.
Thank you. So tonight I'm going to introduce Mr. Hartwig, who will be talking about the Signal Knoll Middle School FFA advisor. So Mr. Hartwig.
Thank you, Dr. Shepherd. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Again, I'm Derek Hartwig, I'm the assistant principal at Signal Knoll Middle School. I'm here tonight to recognize Mr. Dakota Stroud, who was recently selected as a National Teacher Ambassador for the upcoming school year by the National FFA organization. He's one of 2 honorees from Virginia who will undoubtedly represent Signal Knoll Middle School and the county public schools with the utmost pride and professionalism. Mr. Stroud, who was recently named Shenandoah County Public School Teacher of the Year, is an extraordinary educator whose dedication to ag program, ag education, has earned him a national recognition once again. This is a true reflection of not only his exceptional teaching abilities, but also his unwavering commitment to develop the next generation of agricultural leaders. Through his work in our ag science program, Mr. Stroud has transformed countless young minds, fostering critical thinking skills, hands-on learning experiences, and a deep appreciation for a vital role of agriculture plays in our society. His selection for this honor is a testament to the impact he has made in the community, where students have flourished under his guidance, developed not only technical skills in agriculture, but also leadership qualities, work ethic, and confidence that will serve them throughout their lives. On a side note, kind of on a hot off the press, warm off the press at this point in time, Mr. Stroud has also led Signal Knoll Middle School FFA to another milestone this week at the state convention. Signal Knoll Middle School was named the #1 middle school FFA chapter in Virginia for the 3rd year in a row. We are incredibly proud to have such a dedicated educator representing our school, our division, and our students at the national stage, and we know that his influence will continue to grow as he takes on this important role. Congratulations, Mr. Stroud. It's an honor, well deserved.
And another Northern Campus recognition, Ms. Foltz, do you want to recognize Mr. Matt Hauserman from Strasburg High School?
Dr. Shepherd, Chairman Barlow, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to come before you this evening to share recognition from Strasburg High School. On May 1st, I had the privilege to travel to Richmond to attend the Virginia Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association's annual conference and recognition luncheon. At the luncheon, Mr. Matthew Heiserman, Athletic Director at Strasburg High School, was announced as the Virginia Class 1-2 Athletic Administrator of the Year. I have had the honor of working with Matt for the past 10 years. His leadership, vision, and dedication to the development of our student athletes, coaches, the athletic department, and our community is quite impressive. His focus to ensure that our student athletes receive the necessary academic and personal support to succeed has been instrumental in the overall success of Strasburg High School. What is even more impressive is Matt's unwavering commitment to athletics across the state. Matt is viewed as a leader by his counterparts and by those with the Virginia High School League. I am proud for the opportunity to publicly recognize and celebrate Mr. Matthew Heiserman, the VIAAA Class 1-2 Athletic Director of the Year. Congratulations, Matt.
That concludes the recognitions for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to consider the consent agenda. We've been provided with the various reports and so forth, 3.2 to 311. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Hold on.
Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. And you're front and center.
I think of it.
Public
right?
comments. We can go on to this later. Thank you.
I don't have anything formally prepared.
Okay.
I would like to thank the board and everybody for advocating for the funds for the CIP, things that looks like we might get some things done for multiple schools with funds from the board of supervisors. But again, with that being said, I still feel the need that we have to come up with a solid plan for the future of our elementary schools. The things that have been approved are definitely going to benefit probably the health and safety of our students, but even those things that are going to be done are still going to take years. You know, the HVAC system, they brought in people to clean our carpets already. I'm not sure why we're cleaning the carpets and spend money on that if we're going to get funds to maybe replace the carpets this summer. So that's another thing I was a little confused about when I saw that happening last week at Sandy Hook. I've heard too, if we do get funds for building a new elementary school, it's going to take years to make that happen. I get that. So I'm going to advocate yet again to get that plan started now. We are seeing these houses being built and we are not ready. Yet we're going to expect year after year that we've been doing here in Shenandoah County for decades for our staff and students to do more with less, and we can't continue down that road. So I'm asking the board to look ahead, to start planning now. Where are we going to build this school? What's the order that we need to look at? First, is it where we're going to put this school and then get the funding? I don't know how it works, but we need to figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to make a comment on public and staff comments? Okay. Now we will move to the approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as it has been presented.
Thank you, Mr. Gutschall. A second?
Second.
Did I hear you, LV? I'm going to call you LV. There you go. It's fancy. So we're good here. So that's a second. So all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. We will move into the instructional agenda, the middle school advanced math courses. Ms. Proctor.
speak loudly with the crowd that we have tonight.
I'll try really hard.
Yeah.
Good evening, Chairman Barlow, board members, Dr. Shepard. I want to take this opportunity to talk to you this evening about middle school advanced math. We have some changes that are coming. House Bill 2686 was just approved when the budgets were going through this spring. And so this bill requires each school board to develop and adopt a policy outlining the criteria for students in grades 6 through 8 to be eligible for enrollment in advanced or accelerated mathematics. And so there's some criteria for that. The first one is subject to course offerings and availability, the option for parents to opt out. Any student who scores in the statewide grade level upper quartile of an end of year SOL math assessment will be automatically enrolled into an advanced or accelerated math course. Multiple additional pathways for students can be moved in or moved out of those accelerated pathways, and that we would have annual parental notification regarding mathematics course options. This bill also mandates that each school board report and the Virginia Department of Education post data on student participation in the performance of these advanced or accelerated courses. So at the top here, you can see this is our regular middle school to grade 9 pathway for an average middle school student. They take Math 6, Math 7, Math 8, and then Algebra 1 as a 9th grader. We're proposing for the accelerated path, our 6th graders would take a combination of 6th and part of 7th grade curriculum. Our 7th grade students would take a part of the rest of 7th grade curriculum and the 8th grade curriculum. And then in 8th grade, they would do Algebra 1 and then in 9th grade geometry. Any questions about that before I move to the next slide? All right. And then this next slide shows that there are different on-ramps and off-ramps. So let's say I'm a 6th grader, I'm an upcoming 6th grader, I'm doing really good in 5th grade, I'm showing that I'm capable of doing an accelerated math course, but then I get into that course and I'm struggling for whatever reason. So then the next year, that first row shows that I would move back to Math 7 and then Math 8 and then Algebra 1 as a 9th grader. And then it also shows on-ramps as well. Say I'm doing fine, I'm an average kid, I don't seem to need anything accelerated, so I take a Math 6 in 6th grade, a Math 7 in 7th grade, but then I do really well in that grade 7, then I can be moved into Algebra 1. So we've created some on-ramps and off-ramps for our students.
Let me ask you right there.
Yeah.
Any changes in mid-year, or these are just after the year is complete?
After the year is complete.
Okay, thanks.
We can always look at kids on an individual basis if we need to, if they're like struggling, and that would be a parent request, teacher request, or whatever, but typically, on the average, it's always at the end of the year.
So those 2 middle pathways there, Math 8 is not required in some instances?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So just to recap, 7th graders with a pass advanced score of 500 or higher are automatically going to go into Algebra 1 as an 8th grader. For students that score in the 400 to 499 range, we have other criteria that we use to place them into that Algebra 1 course. And for 6th and 7th graders, it'll be that upper quartile of students based on their SOL scores that will go into an accelerated course. That upper quartile will be given to us by the state. That won't be something that we set within SCPS. The state will share that with us. And then of course parents may opt their students out of an accelerated course if they would like to. Any questions?
Algebra 1 in 8th grade, that hasn't been offered in the past?
Yes, we currently offer that now, and that we have criteria that we use now. The only difference is automatically if you score a 500 or higher, you are going into Algebra 1. Before, we looked at lots of other data points, so not just your SOL score. This, your SOL score, you're an automatic in.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Shepard, library book materials purchase list.
Yes, thank you. So this is the May 2025 library materials book list. As with the last few months, there will be a list on the school board agenda every month at the first monthly meeting of the new library books that the librarians, library media specialist, have looked through and are requesting. So the lists are attached to the agenda item, and if no one has any questions or concerns, this will be presented on a consent agenda for the July meeting.
Any questions? Moving into the informational agenda. The formation of the School Infrastructure Planning Committee. Dr. Shepherd.
Thank you. At the May 27th special call school board meeting, the school board discussed establishing a school infrastructure planning committee. The proposed committee would include 2 representatives from the school board, 2 representatives from the board of supervisors, the county administrator, and myself. This group would work to plan for major capital projects within the school division, including potential renovations and new construction. The recommendation is to present the formation of the committee at the present the information at tonight's meeting with further discussion on the appointments at the June 23rd work session.
So is there any other place for us tonight to discuss this other than this moment?
This is the only place
Okay.
to discuss it at this moment, yes.
Okay.
And I believe we have it on both information and action at the June 23rd.
I believe you're
school board
correct.
meeting. Yes.
So just on the board to understand that this joint meeting consisting of 2 members of the Board of Supervisors and 2 members of the school board, along with Dr. Shepherd and Evan Vass from the Board of Supervisors, met to consider how those surplus funds would be used. But there was a growing appreciation from, I think, all who attended, that there needed to be some greater collaboration between the Board of Supervisors and the school board about these building plans, and especially this long-term renovation or building projects that need to be planned way ahead of time and considered in terms of budget and not just budget, but needs and unfolding requirements in the future. And I think it was I think you were there, obviously. So we had the chairs and the vice chairs, and so correct me if I'm wrong in anything I'm about to say here, but it seems to me there was a consensus among the 4 members of the 2 boards that this was a priority item, that we had kind of missed opportunities in the past to collaborate as 2 boards working on something as important and as long range as building projects for the school system. And the 3 building projects that we had included in our considerations, our various, I think we wound up with eventually 6 different options. Those were, it was assumed, or I guess stated, that those would be 3 items that would be included on the agenda, opening agenda for that planning committee. So I see this school infrastructure planning committee is meeting fairly regularly and having a great impact on the long-term planning process. And so it behooves us on the work session on June 23rd to figure out who those folks are going to be. Logic might dictate it's people who are in the building, on the building committee, but there could be other committees involved or somebody who has a special interest. And so like the school board members to come with as much information as they have or can get, so that we can develop our point of view for working with the Board of Supervisors in developing this committee and establishing its authority and its planning structure. But I think the import again was that it gets started quickly because these building projects, even though they're long-term, cannot wait any longer to be considered. So I do invite the members of the board to think carefully about how we could impact that school infrastructure planning committee, and with whatever we come up with on the 23rd is something that we can take quickly to the Board of Supervisors for their buy-in. Kyle, do you have anything further to say about that
Nope.
meeting?
You got it.
Okay. Are there any questions from the members of the school board? Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. As my impression, I was under the impression that this is basically for two people representing each board, just for communication purposes. Not really. I just want to make it clear to probably the people in the public not to really be deciding anything, but just communication purposes of representing each board. Is that correct or not? Am I wrong?
I'd say that was true. Obviously, we're going to keep our own integrity as a board, and so is the Board of Supervisors. Nevertheless, I think the feeling was that the discussions about the ramifications of budget and renovations and scheduling and so forth are going to be pretty intense, such that it will work like a committee which will come back to both groups with recommendations for their boards to pass. So while it has no authority of itself, the recommendations and the research it does, I'm thinking will have an impact. Does that make sense?
Yes,
I mean, it'll come back with recommendations for us to follow it. And I think the major positive gain from this would be to look at the budgets as they're being formulated and seeing how those potential building projects would impact future budgets, so that we can actually think about and plan to go to the Board of Supervisors with the concept of loans and future purchases. Again, but you put your finger on it, it's not going to be an authoritative group that will tell us what to do.
okay.
Would our two representatives on this committee find any value in expanding this planning committee to include, in limited number, of course, you can't have everybody in Shenandoah County building a school, but to include some parents and teachers?
I think that committee will be able to develop its own informal rules, and I would assume that they would make great use of community resources, influencers, etc., to come in. And so I'm assuming that would be part of their, but I can't speak to that specifically, but that board. And again, the 6 people with the superintendent and with the what is Evan Bass's title?
County administrator.
County administrator will have the ability to be able to do that, to make up their own informal rules that would allow that to occur.
So the first meeting, whenever that may be, is going to largely be organizational, and that possibly that could be agreed to by whoever makes that decision, the committee itself.
I assume so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Certainly, you're certainly right that their organization and structure and so forth will be the main thing they'll be trying to decide then, and that kind of discussion about what other people could be brought in as adjunct members on a guest basis or whatever would be discussed. Mr. Ricker, do you have a comment?
I will not be in attendance for the June 23rd meeting. However, I would like to throw my name in the hat for possible representation of the board.
Good.
For that committee.
Good, happy to hear that. And if you can, I would recommend some sort of just resume, you know what I'm saying, so that we could consider that and kind of why you want to do it, that kind of thing, and we can take that into account on the meeting on the 25th.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep. All right, thank you, Dr. Shepard. I think it was important that we discuss that.
Absolutely.
Okay. 5.2, recommendation for the designee to attend meetings of the school board in the absence of the division superintendent. Dr. Shepard?
Thank you. School board policy, BCA, school board organizational meeting requires the school board to appoint on an annual basis a designee for the division superintendent to attend meetings of the school board in the absence or inability of the superintendent to attend. And unfortunately, that position is becoming vacant because one of our trusted colleagues is retiring here in a couple of weeks. So it is my recommendation that Mr. Chad Hensley, who will be the Assistant Superintendent for Student Services and Operations, and or Jennifer Proctor, who will be the Assistant Superintendent of Instruction, be appointed as designees to attend the meetings of the school board in the absence of the division superintendent.
And that is
It will be an action item.
6.4 under action. Okay. And so we have the enviable position of having two such designees, which sounds like a great idea. So thank you for that. We have a resolution that requesting a section of a hallway at Stonewall Jackson High School be named Dorman's Way. Dr. Shepard, you want to tell us about that?
Absolutely. So policy FFA, naming of school facilities, permits the dedication or naming of appropriate areas within a school facility, such as a library, media center, commons area, or gymnasium, in honor of individuals who have made exceptional contributions to the reputation and accomplishments of the school or the school division. Principal Mike Dorman has devoted 30 years of outstanding service to Shenandoah County Public Schools. He served as a teacher, a coach, assistant principal, and principal, and he was also a proud graduate of Stonewall Jackson High School. Principal Dorman returned to his alma mater to lead with distinction and commitment. In recognition of his lasting impact on students, staff, and community, we would like to officially name a section of the hallway where Mr. Dorman stood each day to greet students and staff. And I put as Dorman's Way. If somebody has a better idea, I am open to it, and we can still change it because this resolution will go to the school board for approval at the July 10th meeting. So if someone else has a better thought on the name, happy to hear it.
Dr. Heingartner, since you were mentioned, we're going to bring you up here and you can tell us about the policy updates.
Good evening, Chairman Barlow, members of the board, and Dr. Shepard. The last week we met and went through the policies that we received from SBMA, and I want to just I'll just very briefly show you what you have in front of you. The first 9 policies that are grouped together in your packet are policies that were reviewed but not revised by SBMA. So you have those. As you know, policies have to be at least reviewed every 5 years. So this is in concert with that. I wanted to highlight 6 and 6A of that portion of the total packet because 6 and 6A has been altered by the school division in the past. So you want to read that one when you get a chance and see how it correlates with number 6, which is the newly recommended or newly reviewed policy from SBMA to see if those two things are in sync with what you all want. Okay, so I would encourage you to do that. Then policies 10 through 26 are policies that have been revised. And then you have the red line versions in front of you so you can look through those and see. I don't believe there's been a whole lot of substance change. There's definitely been some revisions, but in some places there has been some additions of a paragraph. but I don't think there's anything that's really changed that policy in its original intention. But nonetheless, certainly want to look through those. And there are two that are new policies. I tried to put in the document that is in board docs a link to the policy, the title of the policy, and then the third column is just a very brief synopsis of what that policy is about. And then the very bottom of that document, you'll see there are 3 more links, and those are policies that you are well aware of, the library policy, and those are policies that were changed by Shenandoah County Public Schools. And the changes that are in this group are simply changing the name to reflect the new organization structure from directors who would review to assistant superintendent of instruction. So that's just a title change is really all that's there. But those are the 3 groups of policies that are before you that will come back to you next month for action. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them now. And if you read over these in the next week or so, you want to call, don't hesitate to do that either.
I don't have a question. I just want to thank you for this. When I walked in this evening and saw this, I thought, man, this is simple, easy to read, well put together. Gonna miss this.
Yeah, well, Ms. Turgeon, we met with, I think she's got a good, I think she has a good grasp, and I think we'll be able to keep the ball rolling.
Thank you.
Yep.
If not, we'll just call you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Dave. Before you have to see, but I wanted to call on the committee chair for policy and talk a little bit about that meeting so the board can understand context, if
Sure,
that's okay.
absolutely.
So, don't go away, but Mr. Vance, over to you.
Did you look at my notes while we were back there in the
I tried, but
Well, you did a good
No.
job. Pretty much everything I have notes on,
Okay.
you've already spoken to. We did meet I'm going to pretend you didn't say all this, okay?
okay. Yeah.
We did meet last Thursday. Chairman Barlow and myself, the representatives on the policy committee, we were joined by the superintendent, Dr. Heingardner, Mr. Hensley, and I am told by the clerk that the notes were taken and they will be posted. Am I right, Ms. Jett? The notes will be posted from that particular meeting, and you are dead right about Jill's input, although she was there via something.
Virtually.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Zoom. She was there via Zoom.
Right.
Are you going to speak to the legislative package also?
Yeah, I can. You mean with regards to those that were revised?
Yeah. That
Yeah.
policy, that
Mhm. Yeah, that's the packet that at the top of that page says legislative session policy revisions, and those are the ones that you'll see the red line versions that were changed via policy updates. Again, it seemed to me to be more clarifying language versus a real change. There are a couple, but mostly just more clarification on what that particular policy is about.
And correct me if I'm wrong, we are not going to take a whack at the legislative positions yet. The July 10th meeting, we will vote on the policies that we've got here, that you've developed for us in this chart, I'll call it chart.
Right.
But shortly after, we do have the packet of legislative policy the legislative policy packet, which we will consider at that point. So it follows on shortly after this one. Is that correct?
Well, my understanding, they're all in this group together. They're all in this same packet. The revised group and the
Well, I'm just
review.
differentiating between the policies here, which we got in one slug from SBMA,
Right.
and then the legislative packages, which we got about a week later.
Okay.
And so they'll be considered on the tail end, but they're not policies per se, but positions on the legislative positions, which are slightly different.
I'm with you, yes, you're right, I was on the, yes.
Okay.
That's that, I haven't received that, I don't believe, that update of the
I think we
position.
just got it that day, and,
Okay.
and that's why it wasn't considered.
Okay, yes, yeah, I haven't seen that part of it. All I've seen is the policy changes.
But, and I want to request that each member of the school board take their time to look at any of these that concern you between, and we can discuss those, let's see, at our work session. So if there's any concern with policy things here, it's another thing you might want to do, Mike, is take a look at any of those, any questions you might want to have for somebody to ask that day on the 23rd. All right, Dr. Heiner, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you a curve there.
No, that's okay.
Before you walk away, we'd like to thank you for, your service to the school division for the last many years. Speaking for Dennis and I, over the last 3.5 years, you've been a tremendous help. I know you've worked closely with Dennis on policy and other things, so we do appreciate it. We'll miss you, and we'll have you at the work session, and then you'll ride into the sunset. But do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Rick was talking about how good and he tried to thank me for it, and I said I'd love to take credit for it.
Yeah.
But you're the engineer of this, we appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we are on the action items. And the first one is our personnel. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel list as they were presented?
I move to I move to approve the personnel list as it's been presented.
Thank you, Mr. Rickard. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschalk, for that second. All in favor of accepting the personnel list, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? Okay, 6.2, I'm going to turn it over to the vice chair to honcho this one.
So, Mr. Barlow introduced back meetings ago this resolution to send to the Virginia High School League, discussing keeping men or boys out of women's and girls sports. So we have it up for action tonight, and I'd like to see if we have a motion to approve the resolution and send it to the Virginia High School League.
We're gonna have discussion or?
Well, we need
After a
a
motion.
motion.
I move to approve the resolution.
Okay.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Vance. Discussion?
Okay, so I'd like to give the school a little background. Back in April, the Freedom Foundation indicated that maybe, I'm trying to use a term that Josh Hetzler used, was that the VHSL and its position on, or maybe non-position at that point, on allowing some biological males to participate on female teams, girls' teams, was something that we wanted to clarify, and something that we wanted to make sure that the VHSL was paying attention to. And it was at that point, a little bit before that, that the VHSL actually accepted, now it's a 501c3, so you have to understand that VHSL is a charitable nonprofit organization. And so they took it upon themselves to take President Trump's Executive Order 14201 in February, entitled Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports. But the problem was that for the months of February, March, and April, there were no real guidelines for how that would be done. And there were some concerns about whether it would be written up in regulation by the Virginia State High School League, or whether it would be kind of left, there undefined. So various of us got in touch with the Virginia High School League, the director, Mr. Hahn, and the SBMA itself developed a letter which we sent to the VHSL. I helped draft that letter, and it was sent out by our president, Vicki Manning, and the person that made the presentation at the VHSL meeting on this topic was one of our board of directors member, Meg Bryce, who just happens to be Antonin Scalia's youngest daughter. And she did a really super job of presenting it. And I think it had its impact, or had an impact, on the VHSL. Still, there is the concern that there is no regulation as to how the policy will be implemented. And so with that in mind, I crafted this simple resolution on improving the Virginia High School League's implementation of President Trump's Executive Order 14201, titled Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports. I'm not going to read it. It's a very positive statement about our belief in the VHSL, standing for good sportsmanship and providing insurance and guidelines that we all rely on. Nevertheless, the resolution contains, and I'll just skip to the last two bullets on there. It urges the VHSL to develop its handbook and policy manual in a timely manner in accordance with the stated policy of prohibiting males from participating in women's high school athletic events. And the final bullet is that, number 5, it urges the VHSL to develop and disseminate a clear and feasible methodology for implementing this policy, which does not rely on self-reporting by schools, but instead develops a logical set of procedures to verifying the actual biological status of student athletes. And so I brought this forward in April for our consideration, and it's time that it was acted on in my belief. As a final comment, I did call Mr. Hahn today. He said that the policy speaks for itself, that there's no allowance for males to participate in female sports, and that any school so doing would be subject to disciplinary measure. Now, I asked him whether that still relied on self-reporting. He said no, that others could report a person who was suspected of being a male participating if they had evidence of that, which was a slight change from what he had indicated earlier. So we feel that our input has had some impact, but we still believe that, I still believe that school boards individually need to stand up for protection of our young women in high school and be able to keep males from participating by signing this resolution, which has no binding power over us or them, or the Virginia High School League. It's only temporary in term, but it is a statement of importance that I would like to send to the VHSL to indicate our strong position on this action. So with that, anybody has any other comments, that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Barlow. Any other thoughts? Ms. Barlow?
Yeah, and obviously I've been very consistent in that I absolutely agree with holding VHSL and all the schools actually accountable on this, and actually asking them to follow the President's executive order. And I do like that this resolution does say that we do follow President Trump's executive order, keeping biological men from playing on women's sports, and also later on, like Mr. Barlow just reiterated, doing in accordance with the stated policy of prohibiting males from participating in women's high school events. And so my question is, because we had very similar language to what we're asking VHSL to do. I had actually introduced some of this. Mr. Rickard had also introduced some of this, and it had been rejected by this board back on April 11th, 2024, when we were expressly asking for what this resolution is asking as well. So it seems to me that it's a little bit of, we're asking them to do something that we ourselves were not willing to do. So the question is, if we are going to vote for this, does that mean that we as a board, and I know Mr. Barlow said that school boards must stand up for females against males in women's sports, does that mean that we are going to go ahead and reintroduce the language that either I or Mr. Rickard actually introduced last year, and which was rejected by all the members and this day is, except for Mr. Rickard and Mr. Vance, who wasn't here?
So
So the question is, are we, since we're going to be asking VHSL to do this, are we going to do it ourselves, or are we going to be asking them to do something that we ourselves are not willing to do?
I'm not sure that we actually have to have a policy to do that, since this is what we're condoning. However, I do not recall us ever turning that down. So if you
We
could
did.
point that out to me.
On April 11th, 2024, we had an amendment for any athletic program or activity that is designated for female athletes. No biological males shall be permitted to participate except to the extent that federal law requires otherwise. And then we had number 3, for any athletic program or activity that is designated for female athletes, where biological males are permitted to participate. No female athlete or coach for such team shall be forced to participate in such a program or activity. Both those were rejected. I think Mr. Barlow, Mr. Street, Mr. Gottschall, and Ms. Rutz actually voted to take that out of the policy last year. So
Yes,
again,
it was part of the other policy, and there's more to it than just that. So I'm just gonna say that this is 2025. We have this executive order that has come down. We have a new president. This information is out policy within VHSL, and we want them to write a regulation that takes a strict interpretation of that and has some teeth to it, as indicated in number 4 and 5.
so let me just ask a question again, since it is 2025 and we do have an executive order. Again, since we're asking VHSL to do that, are we going to do that ourselves here on the school board?
You can put forth any motion you like. This is a resolution we're sending to the VHSL. As I said, there are other things in there that we talked about last time. This was part of
We took this separately.
the general
Yeah, we took this one
transgender
separately.
bill and various parts of it. So there was more to it than just this.
No, that was voted separately. We
I
added
know,
all
but
of
there
them
were
separately.
various segments of this where they were working down for this.
Sure.
And I'm just saying that was before we had a new president, before we had the executive order, and before VHL had the policy. So the intent of this is not to pass a new policy. The intent of this is to tell the VHSL that this is what we want them to do.
Whether we do
Now-
it ourselves or not. Okay.
The policy is already there.
No,
asking them to follow
actually,
the
our policy doesn't say that, so that's why I'm asking the question. I mean, are we gonna be doing that ourselves, or are we just gonna be voting for the resolution but not do it ourselves? But I think I got my answer.
Any other comments? All right, hearing none, we will call this to a vote. Ms. Jett?
Mr. Street,
Yes.
Ms. Carlinio,
Yes.
Mr. Vance,
Yes.
Mr. Rickard,
Yes.
Mr. Barlow,
Yes.
and Mr. Gottschall.
Yes, the motion carries by 6-0 vote. Mr. Barlow?
Thank you. Item 6.3. This is the overview of the K through 5 math textbook adoption process. So do I have a proposal that we approve this math textbook adoption as was presented?
I move to approve the K through 5 math textbook adoption as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Street. All those in favor of accepting the math textbook adoption K through 5, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed? And then 6.4, the appointment of the designees to attend meetings of the school board in the absence of the division superintendent. Do I have a motion to appoint those people who are nominated by the superintendent?
I move to appoint Mr. Chadwick Hensley, Assistant Superintendent for Student Services and Operations, and Ms. Jennifer Proctor, Assistant Superintendent of Instruction, as the designees for the superintendent to attend meetings of the school board in the absence or inability of the superintendent to attend for the period of July 1, 2025 to December 31, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Rickard. A second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Vance. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, 6-0. And now we are moving to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. So I would like to congratulate all of our graduates. We had great graduations. Over a busy 3 days, we celebrated over 440 seniors for the class of 2025 from Strasburg, Central, and Stonewall Jackson high schools. We're sad to see them go, but we're looking forward to see all they accomplish in the next few years. Would like to also recognize Strasburg High School freshman Cooper Holcomb. He won a state title in VHSL Class 2 Boys 100 meter dash with a time of 10.76 seconds. Central High School tennis and softball teams make deep runs in postseason. Central High School had a trio of teams reach the state playoffs. The Central boys team reached the state semifinals. The Central girls tennis team reached the finals for the second year in a row. And the Central High School softball team will play Central Wise in the state semifinals tomorrow. So that's Central versus Central. Which should be a good game.
After they beat another Central the other night.
Yeah, yes.
Central Lunenburg.
Signal Knob, I think Mr. Hartwig gave us this information earlier, but Signal Knob Middle School FFA chapter won a state championship again. Our Signal Knob Middle School FFA chapter was named the state champion in the Virginia FFA National Chapter Contest for the third year in a row. And then Ashby Lee Elementary School sweeps the stock market game regionals. We are going to have to get our Ashby Lee students to help us invest our money because this is the second year in a row that our elementary school students won the stock market game. So very excited for them. So, happy to answer any questions.
The trailers, the HVAC, all that stuff, looking forward, hoping that that's approved and voted into. Are we looking at getting that done as soon as possible? Are we starting to look at moving forward like July 1?
We are, but I don't think they'll be ready for the start of the school year. So I know we've already started looking at procurement and getting the appropriate documents out so that we could procure those units the way we're supposed to. So I don't know how long it'll take, but we are looking at trying to get them as soon as we can after the start of the school year.
It was mentioned tonight about carpet cleaning. Did you know why they would be cleaning those carpets?
I do not, and I don't know if Dr. Hunter knows.
I think they were cleaning carpets that weren't going to be removed, because not every single carpet in every single classroom will be removed, just the worst ones at this stage.
Are we jumping on that the minute the money's approved?
Yes.
Thank you.
School board member comments. Who wants to start? usually kick it off. Go ahead, Mike.
So I had the opportunity of attending an 8th grade graduation at the end of the school year. And of course, being the end of the school year and some teachers making the decision to leave. And of course, we had personal relationships. So naturally, I get to hear all the reasons teachers are leaving. But I also, in being at that 8th grade graduation, I got exposed to a lot of positive feedback from teachers that are staying. So it got me thinking, because as we know, 2 of our schools in particular are problem areas where we are experiencing a great loss. But the one thing I was hearing was, I had a teacher come to me. She had just completed her first year with Shenandoah County. And she said, Mr. Rickard, she said, I want you to know the reason I came here was the climate in this school in particular. She said, I came from Rockingham County. And she said, I applied and I wanted this position at this school. And she said, I look forward to coming back next year. She said, the one thing that you all have at this school that I could not find in Rockingham County at any of the schools I worked at there, she said, it's not unusual for our administrators to come into our room and tell us, hey, why don't you go take a break, do what you need to do, I got class for the next 15 minutes. We talked tonight about support, and to me, as I talked to different teachers from the southern end to the northern end, you hear that same rhetoric from Signal Knob Middle School. To me, the administrators in those buildings, Scott Schlettner, Anne Marie Noonan, they're displaying real leadership abilities. They don't ask anything of their staff that they're not willing to step up and do themselves. And it's nice to hear that. And what I'd like for us to talk about is our school board office employees, the ones that make the decisions about our admins, about our teachers. I'm curious how long it's been since some of them have been in the classroom. We hear about discipline in the schools and holding kids accountable. Sometimes I feel like we get in these positions where we start to forget about what it was like when we were in that position. So I'd like us to start looking at the possibility of school board office employees maybe going out and substitute teaching for a day at a school. So they get a feel for what the climate is nowadays as compared to, whether it's been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it may be. I would like for us to start having that discussion. I think it might move the climate in the county in a positive direction when the people at the top start realizing what kids act like today, what the expectation of the teachers are. So I'd like to see us do that. Like I said, it's always, you can always find somebody to give you the negative. But it's always nice when people are coming forward with the positive and telling you, hey, this is why this school's great, or this is why this administration's great. It'd be nice if our administrators spent some time in a classroom, teaching a class and seeing what the teachers have to deal with on a daily basis. I think it would go a long way with how our teachers view our administrators, how they view our school board office. I think that's my big thing. And like I said, kudos to Dr. Noonan, kudos to Scott Schlettner, and all their staff in those 2 buildings. They do an awesome job, and it was nice to hear all the positive feedback. Oh,
Something else?
one more quick question. The Nightlock security grants, have we started researching those yet?
Yeah, it's not due until later in the summer.
Thank you.
Miss Lynn will get that done before she retires.
Awesome, thank you.
I want to kind of piggyback on what Mike just said with regards to having more people from the administration go to the schools. I think I had actually mentioned that last year, that I would like to see that, even if it's just go in and help with with the lunch crowd or just with the morning. I think it would, like Mike said, I agree that it would definitely help. I think strengthen those relationship between the teachers and the admin. I think there's, at least from the teacher's side, there's a bit of a gap in there in terms of what they feel like they can relate to, and it's one of the things that it's it may not be something, but if that's their perception, then maybe I would think that would be something that could help. I did want to say I apologize for all the ceremonies that I missed, and I know the people who missed me when I was gone. I was gone out of the country for a couple of weeks. It was my daughter's graduation from college, so we're celebrating that. I'm sorry that I missed the last work session that this board had, which was actually scheduled while I was away. So unfortunately I wasn't able to attend, but had I been there, I would like to have said, especially for our speakers today and all the people who emailed us and all the people who talked to us, which is a lot. I mean, we had a lot of emails regarding the building of the new schools, especially from the northern campus, but we have seen some from the central campus as well. I mean, I have heard a lot of concerns from parents in the central campus regarding the overcrowding and what we're seeing in terms of construction. So I just want to tell those parents and all those teachers and all those people who came that I'm not going to forget. I'm going to keep on working on this. I'm going to keep on sounding the alarm bell that we need this to happen, because we all know that even once we decide to build a new school, it's going to take years. I mean, we're talking several years before we can actually have a school. And it was one of the things that is going to hurt our community if we don't do something about it as soon as we can. So I know we had a speaker today, and I want to thank her because she's been bringing a lot of this items to our attention. And I do encourage those parents and people who are concerned to keep on coming to us, to not let it just fall in deaf ears. We keep bringing it to us. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So make sure that you keep bringing those concerns to us so we can at least try to solve them. So thank you.
Good.
Tom?
Yes, sir. Real quick, first of all, want to thank Mr. Dorman again for all he's done, his service to the education system in this county, and I wish Mr. Dorman the best in his retirement. Also, Dr. Heingardner, wish you the best here in the future. And all the other ones, Ms. Litton and Tim Tebow Taylor, and I don't know, this keeps going on, but I thank you all, the ones that are retiring. That's what I call Tim anyway, but thank you all for the ones that are retiring and moving on for your service. Graduations, congratulations to the 3 high schools on graduation, and in the middle, the other schools, but obviously the focus on the high school. But I also want to point out, I was at the Triplet Tech graduation, and I was really, really impressed, or it hit me actually being there to see, not only these students graduating from high school, but they're graduating with a trade and, boom, going right into work field with good jobs, and I just felt proud being part of Shenandoah County school system that we make that opportunity available for those students. So it hit me actually being there, that hit me. So congratulations to all of them. Lastly, I guess, to thank you again to the staff and everything we do, and I always remember somebody giving me advice that education never plateaus. It always keeps going on, so you can't get stagnant. But thank you to everyone. Last, I'm going to take up for the Board of Supervisors, and I just want to make a comment. I have enjoyed, I enjoy working with them and our discussions, and there is I feel that there is a unity there. Both boards want to go in a positive direction, and we both see the future. But I will take up for the Board of Supervisors, and I just ask the public that if you have concerns, and they want to hear you, all boards, they want to hear the public. That's what we're representing. But I just ask you to do it in a positive way and do it in a respectful way. I was just a little disappointed how the public approached them at their basically last meeting. And so I just ask the public to be more, definitely approach your representative, approach your boards, but do it in a positive and a respectful way. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Tom.
Just happy that the school year winded down in a positive manner. Good luck to the Central athletic teams, and then congrats to Matt Heiserman and Dakota Stroud for their accomplishments. And that's all I have.
Okay. When I was a teacher, classroom teacher, as soon as of course we used to go to school till June 19th. Anyway, this is weird, but we couldn't wait. The teachers couldn't wait to get off and find our summer jobs, and now we're going to feed ourselves over the summer. But so we just kind of put it in second gear and went out there and tried to find jobs like umpiring baseball games and lining fields and stuff like that. I remember doing that stuff. But it's interesting sitting here in the perspective of what the staff has to do immediately upon the ending of the school, and just seeing the kind of things that have to be done immediately. I'm in some sort of awe, because I'm sure that the superintendent and staff members and others who are 12-month employees didn't even have time to take a breath after the graduation ceremonies, and getting to work at the purchases for those things that were scheduled, and for the SOL revamp that are coming, and all the work that goes into finding and hiring the new teachers. And I'm just kind of amazed that the energy level hasn't stopped. If anything, it's kind of ticked up a little bit, and so I think it's a pretty remarkable thing, the energy and focus that the staff brings to this. And it does make me feel that there's a symbiotic relationship between the different factors and the different groups within our system, and that interplay and respect from group to group is so key to that kind of success. Anyway, it's heartening to see people who are so self-motivated and energetic. So thank you for making the end of the school year not a time to exhale, but a time to actually dig in and do a lot of prep work for what promises to be an even greater year next year. So on that note, I will ask for somebody to move for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
And we've got a quick motion to adjourn in a second. It's 8:11, and all those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, none. We did adjourn at 8:11.